Hey guys, welcome back to the Atlas Podcast. Today I'm here with Sabra. We're going to be going through a few questions you guys asked, but also have a few topics that I want to cover too. Um, I just came back from the New York Pro a few days ago now, about a week ago, and yeah, the glutes on these girls are getting out of control. It's absolutely insanity. I was telling you guys in the coaches chat, to be competitive at that level now, you gotta have crazy dense round glutes. And
Yeah.
you know, the top four girls was Amy, Eevee, Emmy, and Maria. And they're all. I was funny because I was telling Tyler like at Pittsburgh, I was like all the top five. Well, most of the top five were going to New York, and it was like the little gnomes jumping from one show to the next. You know, because they're all short and they're all like jacked and muscular.
Yeah.
And yeah, Amy won that show. Totally understand why. Her glutes are fucking absurd, honestly. Like
Yeah.
the shape is amazing, but just like the density, and you really see it in the walk to the back. And her walk to the back actually, how she does is not the best. But what's important is that you see the glute density through the transition and through the entire walk. And that's what they're looking for too. Like her feet placement a little bit weird and stuff too. And I know people say that, but the actual glute density that you see through the transition and the walk to the back are that's why she won the show.
Yeah.
So that was her advantage over Eevee for sure. They said that Eevee's front pose was, you know, just as comparable to Amy. That the symmetry was perfect, but Amy just had better glute roundness and symmetry and just density. And I could see that. But I think Amy right now has probably the best glute genetics right now in the top of the Olympia, I would say, in regards to like density and shape.
Yeah.
So you weren't there, Sabra, but did you see pictures online? What did you think?
Yeah. I saw pictures. No, it's crazy. I feel like I personally love the look, how it's getting that more dense glute look is being rewarded, but I almost feel like it started. I feel like a few years ago there was a ton of conversation about it where it was like, are the glutes getting too big? Are the glutes getting too big? And they kind of at the Olympia it set back the standard being like, no, we're not
Hmm.
going that big. And now it's kind of creeping back up there again. So
Yeah,
I'm
I don't
curious to see
think
how it's gonna.
like these four girls right now, maybe yeah, like I don't even think like a Jen Dory has that type of glute density or Laura
No.
Lee is around there, but like I don't know. Like it's getting pretty intense, I would say, with the glute density. But I mean it's hard. Like I don't know what they would do like to bring it back down. They're gonna reward someone with like less dense glutes up to say it's too much. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I was there in person and I was thinking I was actually thinking about this like because it is getting pretty intense with the glute density and that's required now to place really well. And I don't know what I would do because Amy did just have like the best glutes. So what are you gonna do? Make say, oh, your glutes are a little bit too big. They're not that big. You know what I mean? And her
Yeah.
condition wasn't crazy. It was good bikini condition,
No, it
but
was perfect. Yeah.
yeah, but just like the rounds and the density when she hits her transition shots was ridiculous. So and that's another thing too is like a lot of the I feel like bikini used to be like rewarding more towards like maybe medium to taller heighted girls. So like 5'4" to like five. Now it's like the short girls are taking over. Like look at Pittsburgh, New York. It's
Yeah.
all short girls on the top like six because when you require that much muscle mass and that much amount of like glute density, it's easier to do as a short girl. Like putting on muscle mass on like an Eevee or like an Amy or you know an Ashlyn or a Maria or an Emmy is a lot easier than putting muscle mass on a an Ariana like type of athlete. You know, so that's tall. So and also like the shorter your limbs are, the easier it is going to be able to put muscle mass on. That's why most bodybuilders are short. So
Hmm.
yeah, I definitely noticed that, and I don't think it's just a coincidence that the girls who are really good now are short. I don't think it's a coincidence. I think it's just because that's the requirement of the category in regards to like the muscle mass required. So it's like the shorter girls are gonna have an advantage because it's easier to put on muscle mass. Um, yeah, so we'll see how it goes down at the Olympia.
Curious to see how it goes at the Olympia because especially with like someone like Laura Lee who's so tall and currently most of the top pros right now are those like you said like short super dense. I'm excited to see them like lined up compared
She
next to
can't
each other.
hang with Amy in the back pose with right now. It's impossible,
No.
especially the walk to
Yeah.
the back. Because when Lorelei walks to the back, her glutes drop and like she has no upper glute and no
Hmm.
glute density when she does her walk to the back. But now Amy's walk to the back, like it's all it is crazy dense glutes, and you have it in the transition. So I don't know what they're gonna do because Lorelei cannot hang with Amy right now in the back pose in regards to like the glute density and the fullness, especially in the walk to the back. So
Hmm.
Amy grew her glutes a lot in the past year, and it's going to be interesting at the Olympia. And I wouldn't be surprised if she actually wins the Olympia, because if that's the look that they're going for now, then I don't think anyone's going to be able to hang with that right now. So, I mean,
Yeah,
she has a huge
they've
advantage.
been really setting that as the standard this year, I feel like.
Yeah, yeah. So, and it's crazy. Like as a pro now, like you need dense glutes. Like
Yeah.
Eevee, I'm standing next to her. She's 4 foot nothing, but she's freaking jacked, man. She has a lot of muscle
Those are
compacted onto her
insane.
body. Her glutes are crazy. Like, and she's short, but she has a lot of dense muscle. I was training with her in the gym, and like she's not a little twig, you know.
Yeah.
So she's very compact and like a little tank with
What
big
was her,
glutes.
what's her stage weight?
She just sends to me in kilograms.
Oh,
It's fake weight. What is this?
I
49.
did. Making me do math.
49. She weighs about 110 pounds. Holy shit.
How tall is she?
Like 5 feet, nothing, like 5 feet around the thing. That's pretty heavy.
Oh my, no, that is, yeah.
I thought she was 100. Yeah, but she's sending me like kilograms. So I didn't never really I just look at the weight, whatever, but I never really
That's a
calculated
lot
the
for
pounds. She's
5'5".
fucking jacked. Jesus, that's a jack little fucking elf we got over here. Yeah. So yeah, and fucking with Eevee, man, she's so funny because like we understand each other when we type, but when I tell her things in person, she understands absolutely nothing. And like her friend was like in the hotel room with us, and actually we don't actually understand a lot when we type either. It just depends. Her friend was in the whole. She's from Spain, so her English is not the best. And we're in the hotel room together, and I'm telling her, okay, Evie, I need you to drink 1 liter of water from now until 4:30. She goes, okay, like very like assertive, like okay, and then she walks away, and then her friend asked her like, "Do you understand what he said?" And she just says like, "No." It's just like
What were you
hey,
gonna go do then?
she said it with such assertion, like she, okay, this is my plan. I understand it. And
Cute.
then she's like, I don't know. I just fucking just says okay. And then it was funny because I was like, I tell her she was staying at her friend's Airbnb for before the show, and then I told her to come meet me in a hotel on Friday at 2 p.m. So she comes and she texts me. She goes, James, I'm in the room. And I'm like, what room? Because you're supposed to meet me in my room and you don't even know my room number. She goes, I'm in your room. And I go, you're not in my room because I'm in my room and there's no one here. She goes, fine then, I'll get my own room. I said, what the fuck is going on? So she's getting mad at me because I told her she's not in my room. She never even had my room number yet. And I'm like, I'm like, so I sent the whole thing in Spanish. I translate it. I'm like, Evie, what you're saying makes no sense. I do not need you to get another hotel room to do a check-in. You could check in my room, but you're not in my room. She goes, I'm next to Starbucks. I said, well, there's no Starbucks in my fucking room, so I don't know. So she ended up being in the lobby, and I was just like,
Oh, hell yeah.
my God. Yeah. So yeah, just like that all the time.
Coping with language barriers.
Yeah, and then like the whole like 2 weeks, she's so funny. She's walking around and be like, James, my ass is so big. I never have an ass so big like this in my life. I made her eat a lot of food. Because when I started, she was initially too lean. She slept like 14 hours and lost like 4 pounds. I was like, Jesus Christ. Now we got to do like, we got to play catch up with the, kind of bring the water and sodium back into her body because she was really depleted.
Yeah.
And then, anyways, we're filling up, and she's like, my ass grew so much. It's so big right now. All day walking around like that for the whole time was fucking funny. I'm like, that's a good thing, I guess. Yeah. Man, 110 at that height's crazy. I didn't even know she weighed that much.
That's wild.
Yeah. So I want to talk about Ariana's situation. So, because I'm getting a lot of like questions, not a lot, but people I'm sure are wondering, and I've actually been asked this a few times at the show, like, James, why can't you get Ariana conditioned? Like, and the first thing I said is, I'm not retarded, right? Because obviously I can get people in condition. It's literally what I do all day long. But I was trying to figure out with Ariana, and I was confused, and we tried a million different things, and I finally pinpointed it, and I figured out what the problem was. So the thing is with her is she doesn't have enough muscle mass yet to be able to get her leaner and have still density and a look where she actually is displaying muscle mass on her.
Yeah.
When I was leaning her down, okay, she wasn't losing body fat. She wasn't getting leaner. She was just actually she might have been losing body fat, but she wasn't getting we weren't achieving a leaner look. She was just looking smaller with the same condition. It was insane. It was the weirdest thing ever. So she was like at 135, I would get it down to 133 and then 131, and she would look the same condition as the 135, but just a smaller version. And I was like, what the fuck? So like, it was, I couldn't figure it out. So I would try to like carb her up, and she would just like, it was a lose lose situation where it's like, if I would carb her up, she would just get softer and not tighter. And then if I would lean her down more, she wouldn't get tighter, and she would just stay soft with the same amount of yeah, stringy. I was just like, what the fuck? So I was trying to figure this out, and I realized what it is when I went back home from our the Pittsburgh flight. I spent like 3 hours just looking at every single check we've ever done, and like at the Olympia check and stuff too. And I realized it was just like an epiphany. I was like, she doesn't have enough muscle mass yet to be able to get her lean enough where we need to be, where she has a full look at density and also bringing the condition. Because like I saw like her back pose, like obviously in Pittsburgh compared to other girls, and she looked small. Like she looked small, and she still wasn't conditioned. So what am I going to do? Lean her down more? She's going to be even smaller and still not have like the crazy tines that the other girls have. It doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense, you know. I'm a little bit sick, so um, so what I equate it to is like, you know, when you have like a natural like amateur competitor and they don't have enough muscle mass on them yet, and you're trying to like lean them down, and at a certain point they just start looking like skinny, and the tines like don't come out, and they just yeah,
Black.
there's no muscle pop, but it's just like at a certain point, like, listen, this is the look we got to put you on stage with, because if I lean you down more, you're not gonna get leaner. You're just gonna, you know, you're just gonna disappear into nothing. So it's kind of like that, and I don't want to give credit to Paul for doing this because he went too far with it, but I understand his mentality as to why he kept leaning her down for Tampa. So we were on stage in Pittsburgh at around 121. At the Arnold, we were around 130. Sorry, yeah, 131 in Pittsburgh, around 134 at the Arnold ish, around 133 or so for girl power. But what Paul did when he was coaching Ariana for Pittsburgh, first of all, what he did for Pittsburgh last year was he got her way. She came in way too soft. Like he carved her up way too much. Drank water on show day. Ate like Chipotle the day before. She was way too soft. So then her feedback was like, "I gotta lean her." So he's like, "I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get her lean." So what he did here is he kind of made the he couldn't figure out, kind of like me, what the situation is, where he couldn't figure out how to get her lean. So he just pushed her so far down into oblivion, where she was 121 pounds on stage in Tampa at 5'8", which is not even like she was. But right, like I understand kind of why he did it. He was just trying to get her conditioned no matter what. But instead of like getting to a point where like, okay, listen, this is not, you're not like getting conditioned. You're literally just getting smaller, and you're still just as soft. If you go look at her stage pictures at Tampa, she was a twig, and she was just as soft as any other show. You know what I mean? So it didn't equate to succeeding in getting her lean. It just equated to her being extremely small and lanky with no condition and no muscle mass showing. So obviously he was trying to get her lean, but he went way too far at a point of like no return, you know, and then she actually lost a lot of muscle mass, and it's taken a year to get it back. But I understand why he did it, but not to that extreme, right? Obviously, like you have to, at a certain point, you got to be like, okay, well, let's pull it back here because it's getting a little bit too much, and you're not really getting leaner. You know, like I'm sure you can tell that she wasn't getting leaner on the last 10 pounds. So another thing, the way her fat sits on her body, she has very good fat for real life. Okay, and it's a new thing that I've discovered actually. So yes, the way her fat sits actually looks like muscle mass on her glutes.
Yeah.
It does, because if I give her like a diuretic or reduce her water weight, like her glutes will still stay really full because it's reducing water, so I'm reducing fat. But she'll still get a little bit leaner because the water will evaporate from her skin. You still have like the shape of the glutes. Like it doesn't look like fat, it doesn't look like cellulite, like it doesn't look like, it's literally just, I was telling her, I'm like, you have really good fat. It's weird, like, but that's the problem, is that when so like the fat on the glutes looks like muscle mass, right?
Yeah.
And that's why it's like so round and bubbly. But the problem is that I figured out is like when you lean it down, the fat goes away, but then there's no muscle mass underneath it for the skin to stick on anything, right? So she's not actually getting leaner. So the fat's going away from the body, but there's not enough muscle mass on it afterwards to be able to display condition on the physique once you
Yeah.
reduce the muscle mass on. But when you have the fat on, it looks like muscle, but
Mhm.
you still need to get condition. So it's like a fucking,
Yeah.
it was a lose lose situation with like peaking her and like kind of getting her lean down, because it was just like, okay, so in theory, let's say like you add carbs and you fill her up, you know, she should be fuller and maybe her body will look a little bit harder, but it wasn't. It would get a little bit fuller and it would just look softer. And then I would like, let's say, deplete carbs or even deplete water a little bit, and she would just get softer and smaller. So it was just a lose lose like in every way. And I realized what it was after I look at every single one of her check-ins we've ever done. I was like, oh, she literally just doesn't have enough muscle mass, and it seriously is just like when you coach like a very like a smaller competitor and they don't have enough muscle mass, and you have to decide, at a certain point where it's like, listen, I can't just keep bringing your weight down, but it's not equating to your body fat coming down lower. You know what I mean? So
What's the longest off season she's had in the last couple of years?
So she's not hasn't had, so this is another problem I wanted to discuss. So she hasn't really had an off season. We had like 3 weeks between like the on Olympia before we started prep again.
Hmm.
And the problem with her is like to get that weight down is she needed to be on like 900 calories for such a long time. And whenever I would give her food bumps, like her body would just like hold on to it forever. And it was just like, so typically like sometimes you can like give athletes like refeeds and their body will like go up in weight and then like come down, trend downwards. Like that's the goal. But it would just like go up and just stay up. And it's just like giving her refeeds was just putting her back. So her body was just in a state of like stress all the time, and it needed a break. And that's why I really want her to qualify after the Arnold, er, and get her qualification before Pittsburgh, so that we can relax after Pittsburgh. Because then we have 21 weeks until the Olympia. And
Yeah.
for her, like right now, she's on like, I think if we're reversing, she's on around 1900 calories, and she's maintaining weight, which is like really good. So just
Yeah.
add a cheat meal. Every week, and we're gonna keep her. She's very determined to like progress and grow. And the problem is like with someone like her versus Eevee, right? Eevee can compete a million times because Eevee's eating 3,000 calories, 4,000 calories a day in prep
Yeah.
all the time. She's just like a freaking
Like a little furnace.
little midget furnace that just burns through everything. It's
Yeah.
insane. So I was talking to Tyler backstage with Eevee, and Eevee went to another show, and like he's like, "No, take a break. Your body's probably tired." I'm like, her body's actually not tired because she eats 4,000 calories with no cardio. So I mean, she could just do that forever. But that's why she was able to progress so much during prep, because if I'm feeding her right and she's not really straining herself for cardio, she's going to be growing into prep while she stays lean. What's wrong with you?
My cat just jumped up.
What the hell's going on over here, Sabra?
My cat's gonna knock down my light and my
There's
God.
a lot of things going on.
It's all chaos. Go in. Okay, she's
So
sorry.
someone like Evie, she can grow during prep. Or someone like Ari, if she's having to, be on 900, 1,000 calories, 1,200 calories for 6 months at a time to get somewhat stage lean, where we weren't even able to get the desired condition on stage, she's not really growing, even if she's taking PDs. So it was a really shit situation to be in. But now everything's going really well with her. We kind of figured things out with her body, and we got her calories up a reasonable amount where she should be able to grow into Olympia, not really gain too much body fat. She wants to stay leaner because after Olympia, she gained a reasonable amount of weight pretty fast, like 10 pounds pretty fast, from like eating random foods and stuff too. And this time she's like, no, I want to just really stay kind of close to stage weight, like maybe within 5 to 7 pounds max, stay under 140.
Yeah.
And then her prep's going to be a lot easier. She's going to be able to do a lot less cardio, eat a lot more food, and actually grow into Olympia. Because if we do the same cycle again where we got to lean down and she's on 900 calories and doing 2 hours cardio and whatever, I mean, she's not going to be gaining muscle to Olympia. So someone like Evie is able to grow into every show because she's just on 4,000 calories. It's just like a normal training day, so it's not even like a
Yeah.
prep. So yeah, that's the difference between, kind of improving in a prep where your food's able to stay a little bit high and you didn't gain, if you have to lose 40 pounds of body fat in a prep, I mean, it's going to be very hard to gain muscle mass at the same time, So yeah, that's the plan. Yeah, you can kind of keep, if you're a beginner, maybe you'll gain a little bit more, but I've been training for a while now, so
Yeah.
she's someone that doesn't, she's like kind of like a Jennifer Dory, like you never see Jennifer Dory compete all year because her body will dwindle. But someone like an Ashley, where she's able to keep her calories high and stay kind of lean all the year, she can do more shows. It just depends on your body type. If you're on higher calories, you're not doing 2 hours cardio a day, you can do more shows. But someone like an Ariana, like she'll look her best when she's fresh off like an off season, and she hasn't off season 3 years. So
Yeah.
that's also another problem. So it's the first time. So I told her next year, no Arnold, like no Arnold. We need to get like a full reset. So we have
Yeah.
21 weeks down to Olympia. Do the Olympia. Don't apply for Arnold, and just like do a show in like maybe like June or May or whatever, qualify and then do the Olympia again, and then she'll be in a good cycle and we'll be able to improve
Yeah.
all year and not have to worry about this whole never having an off season thing. Everyone keeps telling us though, the best judges keep telling us like she's the one who could beat Laura Lee. She has the best structure. She just needs to fill out her frame and she needs to come in condition, and to do that we need to achieve muscle density and and the roundness and the fullness that we could actually lean her down, and she has still the same fullness. So we got to work past that suspicious body fat. That's actually good body fat that looks like muscle mass, and actually replace it with muscle mass, and then we're gonna be kicking ass. Yeah, it's good. I told you, like, it's good fat for real life because it looks like you have crazy huge glutes all the time, and it's like, sorry.
Is that FFRL? Fat for real life. I like that term.
Yeah, or like genetically gifted BBL or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even got to go to
Those.
Miami. What?
I said I need one of them.
But her skin's so dense too. She has like skin like an Asian person,
No, she
honestly.
did.
Like
I noticed
she's
that the
very
last
thick
set with
skin,
the
but it's
skin.
nice. It's nice skin for real life.
Yeah.
It is like because then you don't age that much. If you have like thin white old lady skin like you, no offense, I mean you're gonna age not probably that well. But white people, we have the worst skin,
No, we
so
do. I know.
yeah, like. But I think she's like Puerto Rican or something, something else. So it's probably the little Spanish side.
Yeah.
So that goes into actually another question. What are the athletes that drive you not drive you, but what are the what are the athletes that drive you mental? But what are the athletes that are the hardest to coach? I would say for me, without a doubt, like I would say Brazilians as a whole, the ones that live there mostly, but just South American Brazilian, and it's for one specific reason. Like they're very emotional people. I think it's just a culture thing too,
Hmm.
and they need a lot of. I'm not talking about specific athlete. I'm talking about like in my whole 10 years of coaching and my career, um what I've basically seen as a trend where it's like uh, Brazilians, not all, obviously not all Brazilians, but mostly my Brazilian athletes that I've had.
Right.
Sorry?
I said they're
Exactly. They're very
passionate.
passionate. They need a lot of like love, a lot of attention, a lot of reassurance, a lot of like it's not just like they're not robots at all. They're not ones that are just like, okay, tell me the plan, I'll do the work and unless the ones that are like very Americanized that maybe have lived here like their whole life or whatever. I'm talking about ones specifically that like live there or ones that have come here not too long ago. But they're very yeah, that's a good word. They're very passionate. Like they work very hard. That's the thing. They work very, very hard.
It's a
Yeah.
double-edged sword
Yeah.
because
They have the best
a lot of
genetics
people
too.
look at the wellness girls like they are
Yeah.
hard fucking workers. They're hard
But
workers
those
because of
top wellness girls, I guarantee they're the hardest to coach too.
yeah,
Guaranteed. I've
Brazilian
coached them.
athletes.
Yeah, one. Yeah, that one that had 6 months at the wellness. That was probably my hardest athlete I ever coached. But
Hmm.
yeah, they work very hard, but they're very emotional, and they need a lot of like individual attention 24 hours a day. Like kind of like they need like a babysitter for a lot of the time, and I think it's just like a cultural thing. They're very just even the guys I think like are emotional. They're crying and stuff all the time. Like I don't know what's going on. I was talking.
That's funny.
Yeah. I was talking to Cuts, whatever, backstage. He's like a men's physique Olympia coach. He's like really, really good. And we were talking about this, and I was telling him how like my Brazilians are definitely my hardest athletes to coach. And he goes, you know what? And like they're always crying. And he goes, you know what? He's like, my Brazilian men are crying too all the time. I'm like, yeah, I know. It's like a thing. He's like, why? He's like, why are you crying? He's like, I don't know. He's like, I'm happy or I'm sad or this or this. So it's like, yeah, they're very just like emotional people, but it's definitely harder to coach that because they need a lot of reassurance every day instead of just like following the plan. These
Yeah,
easiest athletes to coach are someone that just like they're very good at understanding instruction. They're very good at understanding plans in front of them, and they can analyze and execute. I had this one wellness athlete right now. She's Brazilian. She's an amateur girl. She's works her ass off. Really, she's really good, but she's been complaining a lot of, this is, I'm very tired and this is, prep is, I've never had to prep this hard and this and then that. And I called her and I was a few times now and I'm like, listen, you've never looked close to this good before. Not even, first of all, we're 10 pounds lower than any stage weight she's ever had before. Okay. Over 10 pounds lower.
needs to be a
And
trend.
she's never been in condition before ever. I've seen her compete I've seen her myself before she was my athlete compete 3 times and she's never been close to stage condition before, maybe like 10, 15 pounds off, but she was like full or whatever. And I was like, listen, this is the first time you actually do a prep. This is the first time you get in stage condition. This is the first time you look this good. And I'm like, compare your stage pictures to before I was coaching you to now. And she did. And she's like, it's unbelievable the transformation that we've made. Cause like
Yeah,
she actually suffered for the first time in her life doing a prep. And she's like, it's very difficult. I'm like, yes, this is the process of getting in condition. It's not easy. You gotta she's doing like an hour cardio too. It's nothing crazy. You know what I'm saying? But it's the first time she actually like her calories are low. She's pushing herself in the gym. She's in like
yeah.
a big deficit. So
Well, the same thing happened with another athlete with us recently too, where it was just like she was saying, I've prepped before, I've done this before, I've never like felt this tired or this whatever. And
She was natural
but
too, eh?
it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, natural.
Yeah.
Did not have like high cardio. She did not have super low
Yeah.
calories, nothing. But it's like you look at her old stage photos versus even how she was looking, and it's the same thing. It's like, okay, well, yeah, no wonder you're feeling more tired. You look at
Yeah.
your stage photos, you were not even stage lean on stage. You weren't anywhere near looking as incredible as you do right now. And people, I think a lot of the time forget that this is a sport where you have to struggle a little bit and push through that. It's part of the mentality of it. Like, no, you shouldn't be on your deathbed, but there's going to be a struggle. There,
You're a bikini pro too. You have two daughters, a single mom. You've struggled and done this thing too. Yeah.
I've been on my deathbed and was still having like, Mom, give me
Deathbed.
juice, like walking up and down the stairs, like
Your skull
crying.
face eating like 3 pieces of broccoli. You're like,
Yeah, no, like I'd be on my little bike in the thing and then taking little breaks to run upstairs and bring that. Like, I don't know. I can't
yeah. No, but
expect
it's,
to struggle a little bit
yeah.
for most people.
The only fair comparison where the athlete would be correct in saying that, something doesn't make sense is if, let's say they've been stage conditioned before and the
Mhm.
prep was like extremely easy. And then they have to do another prep and their prep is extremely hard with like a new coach to achieve like the same look. Then something maybe might be
Well,
off.
yeah, that's
That totally get that.
but
But if you've never been stage conditioned before and you're like, this prep was so easy, I didn't have to struggle, and then you're like, well, this
yeah,
prep is
it's
much
like
harder. It's like, yeah, but look at the
why?
difference in the physiques. That's why. Like, that's the like it's unless you're like an Eevee, we're eating 4,000 calories a day.
Yeah, which
It's like
that's
0.1%. Yes.
often the scenario. Yeah.
Yes. Unless you're like that, if you think that you're going to have a breeze prep where you never have to struggle or go through, some days where you have like zero energy to even like freaking sit up or talk and you don't want to talk to anyone and you just want to, sleep, like it's very hard to have not ever experienced that and also get in perfect stage condition if you're not like a freak athlete. Like, it's just not going to happen, like
Yeah.
for 90% of girls. And 95% of athletes we coach actually understand this. It's just there's a few that it's like ones that have never experienced these before or got lean before. We have another girl called Kyla. She just joined my team and she's never been stage conditioned before. She's been competing for a few years now. Blonde girl from Vancouver. And I saw her in Toronto last year and she has genetics to turn pro, like easy.
Mhm.
And she was last place in her class in Toronto. But she was, I don't want to say fat, but her body fat was like not even 10 weeks out. Look, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she messaged me a couple weeks ago. And she's like, "Hey James, I'm thinking of like maybe joining your team. What do you think?" And she's like, "I want to do Vancouver, or whatever." And we are like 9 weeks out or something. And she's like, "Send me pictures and stuff too." And I'm like, "If we start yesterday, we could probably make it. But any more time wasted, we're not making it." And I said, "Send me like what your plans are, your PDs, your diet, your cardio." And she said to me, "I'm like, oh, like if you continue this for another week, you're not making the show. You're not making the damn show. It's impossible. You're not going to get in stage condition
Yeah.
again." And she's like, "I know." She's like, "This is what I feel too." She's like, "This is why I'm frustrated because I'm never." Her coach is a really really nice person. They're friends and stuff too. And she's like, "I just wanted to improve. I've been doing this with him for 3 years now, and it's like I'm never in shape, and I feel like he's just scared to push me."
Yeah.
But you've been competing for 3 or 4 years and you've never been stage conditioned. So it's like that's not and she has the drive in her to want to do it. She's like, "I want to suffer."
Yeah. Like,
She goes, "I want to suffer. I want to do what it takes." And I'm like, "Well, I'll bring you there." So she joined and she's lost a lot already since the last 2 weeks and she'll make it for Vancouver and honestly probably get her pro card there. And she was last place in Toronto. Like it'll be very hard for someone to beat her in Vancouver with how she's gonna look. But I was like, man, we had a few days to like bring it in. And if you continue on this pace, you wouldn't have made it. And she's like, I changed all of her PDs and stuff too. I took some things away, put some new things in, and changed her diet, changed her cardio quickly. Like she was on like 1,800, 1,900 calories at 8 weeks out, nowhere near stage condition. And someone who to lose like 20 pounds of body fat, and someone who loses body fat very slowly. You just think about those numbers yourself.
yeah.
I'm not taking any anti-estrogens or anything, or whatever. I'm just like, okay, like you're fucked. Like you're in a
Yeah.
position where you're gonna be fucked. So now she's like, wow, I have like ab veins now at 7 or 8 weeks after I'm cool. She's like, the only ab vein I ever had was on show day last time. It just came out on show day. You know what I'm saying? So she's where she was on show day 8 weeks out now with me than she was at Toronto show.
Yeah.
So, and I every time I saw her on stage, I was like, this damn girl can be so good, but it's like she just comes in stage condition. And
Mhm.
when you're willing to put in the effort and the work, but you're not being guided in that way, that's frustrating. So she's like, make me suffer. I don't care. I'll do whatever it takes to get stage condition. I'm like, listen, I'll do what it takes, but we're not going to go overboard. But I'm not going to.
Yeah.
I didn't just drop her calories to 800 and be like, oh yeah, let's got it till the end, you
No,
know.
let's
But
do it. Yeah.
yeah, no, that's stupid. I don't need to do that. But we're taking it gradually. Well, reasonably. Like I dropped the calories to 1,500 right away on the first day from 18. She didn't, or from 19. She didn't need to be on that many calories. She wasn't losing weight.
Yeah.
And she said, I think we're in it for about 2 weeks now. And she's like, he wouldn't even have increased my cardio or reduced my food by now, just so you know. She's like, she knows the trends. She's like, I would have to reduce it myself and then increase my cardio myself. And I was like, yeah, that's not, it's not, what's the point of being coached? She's like, he coached you for free, but it's like, yeah, but what's the end result? You waste 3 years of your life not achieving your goal.
Yeah.
That's why it's free. I charge Eevee for coaching too. Like, and she's right now, she's my top placing bikini Olympian, you know? So it's like,
Yeah.
as a coach, like, yeah, you can sponsor an athlete and stuff too if you want when you start off, but like, man, like we put in so much time and effort into these athletes, and especially when you get the good results. Like, Eevee won $10,000 in FIBO. I think she won $4,000 or $5,000 in Pittsburgh, and she won $3,000 in New York. It's like $18,000 USD. You know what I'm saying? What is this? So she doesn't mind like paying me, like obviously she's not paying me like my full price there, but
Yeah.
she respects my time, like my energy I put into her, and I made her like when I brought Eevee on my team, she was like placing like 9 out of 10 girls at the Arnold, wasn't placing, you know, she was coming in too lean every single show, like it wasn't going great. And then we joined and she went like way up. And that's another topic I want to talk about too, actually, where it's like Eevee is so far ahead of every European competitor right now in the pro league. It's like not even a joke. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy. And that's for like one specific reason. It's not just because she has the best genetics. It's because of the coaches that these girls choose in Europe. And I'll explain to you, like I was talking to Alison Test too about it. She keeps messaging me about, you know, Eevee and all this stuff and how good she's doing. And I'm like, what's the difference between Eevee and these European girls? Okay. Eevee is coming to the States. She's competing in the States, right? She's getting feedback from Tyler and Sandy all the damn time. Like, and she has a coach that's from North America. So like Eevee's at a huge advantage right now that has a North American coach, because I'm literally going to 35, 40 pro shows a year. Tyler and Sandy there, I'm talking to them all the time, getting feedback, seeing the trends in the bikini in real life. I'm able to see the direction that the bikini division is going. I'm at the Arnold, I'm at the Olympia every year. I'm at Pittsburgh, New York. I'm at every freaking big show, you know? She has a huge advantage because I'm at every single show. I could see the trends. I know what Tyler likes. I know what Sandy likes. I know how the bikini division is going, and I know what posing, you know, the rewarding. I know, like, so Eevee came back this year and Tyler and Sandy were like, oh my God, their front pose is so much better. I'm like, yeah, because I'm learning from seeing the girls on the stage and seeing what they like and being able to adjust my athletes to that. These European coaches never come to the States. Maybe a girl will do one show a year in the States, you know what I'm saying? And maybe like qualify in Europe and then go to the Olympia and like that's it. Like, but the coaches in Europe, they're going in front of European judges, European competitors, and the shows in Europe are much weaker. So like, you're looking at the girls that are winning, and a lot of the times they're not even posing great. They're not, the condition's not perfect where it is. Their glute density is nowhere near. Like a lot of the girls are coming from Europe that are competing in the States are last call out in the States and doing shows because the competition is just not nearly as good in Europe. So they're like Olympian in Europe. They come to the States and they get destroyed because it's like they're posing weird. They don't have the same the same condition. You know, they just things are going off. So the coaches that are in Europe and challenge those shows, they're judging based off what they see is winning in those shows. And yes, it's the same criteria, but the quality is just much lower there in regards to the athlete's skill. It's also because it's, you know, it's just smaller than the United States. There's much more competitors here.
Yeah.
And the talent is just here mostly in, you know, most of the categories. But that's not the fault of the European coaches. Just they just live there. So what are they going to do? Come to the States every week? It's impossible.
Yeah.
But the European athletes would do much better. They would do much better if they had North American coaches. Because even in Europe, a lot of times it is an Olympia judge that goes from the States that goes and judges there. So like they're judging based on you know, not the criteria. The criteria is the same across the board, but they're judging based off what they see in the States, you know? So if you have a European girl that's coached by a North American coach, then they're going to be fixing their posing like they see in North America and bring the same condition. And then the American judge that goes there is like, oh, wow, this looks like a great athlete. Like when I have like Adriana competing in shows, like I haven't lost a show with Adriana. I think we're 3 for 3 in shows with Adriana, and she's a European athlete. You know what I'm saying? And Tyler was there. He was like, she was the only one that had polish on stage, the only one who knew how to pose, the only one that had perfect conditioning. It's like, yeah, because I know what you like as a bikini, you know, as a judge, and the coaches don't. So they're picking their athlete based off of like the criteria they see in real life.
Yeah.
I was telling Allison, I was like, this is the problem. It's not just Eevee has the best genetics. I mean, she doesn't have the best genetics. You know, she has a long torso. She's not very wide up top. We have to work a lot on her glute density and her upper glutes, but it's just like I'm able to guide her based off what I know. And she's the only one with a North American coach. And is that a coincidence that she's the only one with a North American coach that's miles and miles and miles ahead of like ahead of ahead of the European? She's the highest European placing athlete at the Olympia last year, and then this year she just beat Maria 2 times in a row. That just placed 7 at the Olympia.
Yeah.
There's no Europeans that even come close to that. So Maria was 7 at the Olympia, and Eevee just beat her in Pittsburgh, New York. So if Eevee comes like top 6, top 7 at the Olympia, the rest of the rest of the Europeans are going to be maybe fourth, fifth, sixth call out, but it's because of that, And I think Adriana is going to be the second top Olympian too because she has the same coach as Eevee, and she has an advantage because we know what the judges are looking for in the division. So
Yeah.
I think that's a big mistake that the European bikini athletes are doing. And when they learn, then they'll be able to place higher. And if they don't, then it's gonna be the same thing over and over again because I watch all the European shows too, like online. I see the pictures of live streams when my athletes are competing. I'm like, oh, like they're making so many mistakes that are just unnecessary that a
Yeah.
coach would be able to tell them. So
Yeah.
even good athletes that live in Europe, like the good for their standard, are making a lot of mistakes. So
Yeah.
let's see. Yeah, talk about a little bit of like body dysmorphia a little bit. So I have an athlete too. So like I get these little like stories from athletes that I'm coaching and it kind of brings up these topics. So it's like I have a girl, I'm not gonna say her name, but it's irrelevant, but she's a great athlete, she's following everything great, but it's like this is her first time doing a show with me, and I met her in person, she was really chill, and I thought she was gonna be like really, really kind of straightforward to coach, but as the show is coming closer, she's getting very like in her head. Like she thinks like her waist is bloated. She thinks she's fat. She thinks her times are not good. I'm like, your waist is literally this big. Like you're shredded. Like she actually was too lean, and she was telling me she's fat. And I'm like, sweetie, I called her on the phone. I'm like, I literally told him like you have body dysmorphia right now. Like no one on this planet would ever tell you that you're not in condition. She's like, I feel bloated. My waist looks like it's thick. I'm like, no, like it's just not. Like you gotta. I'm like, please, just trust me. Turn your brain off. I'm looking at your pictures. I'm seeing your check-ins. Your conditioning is perfect, and it's been very hard for her. She's on the younger compared to she's in her 40s, and it's been very difficult for her to just kind of let go and just kind of see her physique for what it is. So that's one thing, man. When you're in prep, you need to have a coach that you're able to trust and you're able to believe in that they're going to bring you in how you should. And if it's your first show together, maybe they'll make a mistake. Hopefully not. Rarely it'll happen. But if you don't trust your coach and you don't think that what they're doing or what they're telling you or what they're guiding you with in regards to like instruction of your diet or cardio training PDs, then you shouldn't be with them. You should be able to like let go and just be like, I trust you. Just I'm gonna do what you tell me to do. I'll give you feedback on how I feel if I'm, tired or this or that. Like, of course, I have communication, but you need to have the trust where you're able to give your coach the reins and be like, listen, guide me to the finish line, and I'm gonna trust you. I'm not gonna look at my body, and it's very hard to do. I'm not saying it's easy. It's very hard because you look at yourself every day and you're like, fuck, I feel fat.
You're looking at
Yeah.
yourself every day. You have to think every single choice that you're making all day, every day is to look a specific way from
Yeah.
like how much you sleep, what you're eating, you're weighing every single little thing. You're scheduling your day around things. And then as you get closer to show, you're worrying about timelines, even if you trust your coach, there's a part of you that's still like, oh, am I going to be ready in time or whatever? Like, yeah, I trust my coach, but like, am I going to be able to do this?
Yeah.
And then on top of that, as you get closer to show, you're doing more check-ins. You go from 10 days to every 7 days to every 4 days to every 2 days to every single day. And you have your coach who is analyzing your posing down to the very last time.
Every Alice girl knows that.
And then you are also looking at your pictures every single day and you're comparing them to the one from the day before and then the day before that. And you're like, oh no, I noticed like my waist is like this much bigger. Like maybe, is it though? Like, and you question and it's fucking hard to turn off.
Yeah, no, I get it. I totally
It's
get it.
hard, especially when you get closer to show. And if you just already have those anxious tendencies in your personality, it's so hard to turn off. Like I can remember telling you on a couple of my check-ins being like, I don't think I'm as lean in person as I look in these pictures. That's why we do things like outside check-ins and everything like that, like changing the lighting and making sure that we have multiple lighting references so that we're as close to reality as possible when we can't be there. Yeah, it's hard to turn off, but you gotta just kind of figure out how to do that.
Yeah, I mean,
Not
it's
put that onto your coach also because it's like it doesn't help anything. Like
yeah,
worrying
like you can give
always
feedback, but if you're
worrying.
saying like I'm fat,
Yeah.
I'm this and this, it's like no, you're not. Like I have
Worrying
eyeballs.
and stuff has never helped anything ever, and it's fucking hard to turn off, but it's yeah.
Yeah,
It's harder for some people than others, but for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. But I was surprised that
Um,
I was like, she's a little bit better now, but it was still like I had to talk to her a few times on the phone. And I was like, listen, like you're you're looking really damn good. Your conditioning is perfect. I have to increase your food now, and like as I can increase food, she's like, oh, my waist is fat now. I'm like, your waist is still just as small as it was yesterday. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? So yeah, those little things too.
Yeah.
With the wellness athlete I was talking about that had to like suffer and stuff too. For we did like we've only been working together like I think 6 7 weeks now, but we lost like 14 pounds, whatever. And she's finally in such crazy condition. But the night before the show, she messaged me. She's like, "Hey, am I having a burger and fries tonight?" And I'm like, "Sweetie," I'm like, "What the
Damn.
fuck?" I'm like, okay, but I'm like, oh, this is why she actually joined my team because I was like, because your coach is a noob. That's why, you know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, go over to McDonald's, grab a McDouble.
so I've never seen, I've seen her compete 3 times in person already before she was joined my team, and she'd never been stage conditioned.
Hmm.
And she told me every night before, first of all, she didn't get her body fat low enough, but also every night before the show, she would have wine and hamburgers. So it's just like, I was like, oh, if you're like a new coach in your first year of coaching, I get it because I did that too. You know, athletes have hamburger you before
That's what I did
prejudging the
when I coached
finals.
myself to my first show.
Yeah, when you're a noob, you don't know. But I was like, oh, this girl's trying to turn pro. She's never been stage conditioner, and she was confused why I'm not giving her a hamburger and wine before bed. Like just as like as a baseline. Like, oh, no matter how you look, this is what you're doing before your show every time. It's like,
Yeah.
no, that's not how. That's I talked on the phone. And I explained to her like that's like kind of noob coaching, and that's something I used to do too. When you're and you give everyone diuretics, and just you don't ask, and you just base off nothing, and it's like no.
Yeah.
Every athlete is different. Every athlete requires different things, and even Maxine last year when she qualified to the Olympia in Toronto, I had to give her hamburgers and fried stuff too, but leading into the show. But I explained to I explained to my wellness athlete now, like there was a reason for that. It wasn't just a blanket, that's an emergency situation when you have to do that. It's not a go-to. It's if that happens, it fucking sucks. I don't want that to happen. And that only happens when the athlete is their metabolism just revs up so much that you can't keep up with food and you need to put really dense food, fatty food into their body to kind of hold on. So
Hmm.
if an athlete has a tiny waist and not used to eating a lot of food and they're eating 4 or 5 thousand calories, let's say they go from like 1,000 calories and then all of a sudden their metabolism goes crazy out of nowhere, right? If they get off a flight, their metabolism goes crazy and they start just plummeting weight. And you're increasing their food, increasing their fats, increasing their carbs, and it's just still like going down in weight. There needs to be like a really big sodium increase, like a water increase sometimes, and then you got to like push in a lot of like saturated, even sometimes trans fats, to really hold on to the weight. And that's what I do with Maxine, and then she qualified Olympia. But if I did that with most girls, they would literally be fat on stage and they would be last place. You never want to give your body food that it's not used to, by the way, before the show. That's how you
Yeah.
get bloated. That's how you have like indigestion. That's how you look much softer. So if you haven't eaten hamburgers and stuff all prep and you're on like the wellness goes on low calories. So I'm gonna put her on 1,000 calories a day to eating a 2,000 calorie cheat meal before bed at night. What do you think your body's gonna do? You're
Yeah.
gonna look terrible. You're gonna look watery. You're gonna look soft. You're gonna be bloated. You're gonna feel like shit. So
Yeah.
I was like, that is new coaching, and she didn't do it. She's like, wow, my stomach's a lot tighter this show. I feel much better. I'm like, I wonder why, because we're not eating garbage on show day, So, but she had to kind of so she went from like never getting stage conditioning to having easy preps and having hamburgers and wine before stage, the night before, and then like junk food and stuff too, and never coming conditioned, never placing well to getting shredded. She won the overall at her first show together, also, which is
Yeah.
she's like one of her goals she never even came close to doing. Now she's probably gonna turn pro next week. So it's like her prep is much harder, but the result is much better, and that's what it takes most of the time. It doesn't mean a harder prep is a better prep. Sometimes you can have really easy preps, sometimes your preps can be really hard. I've had athletes where it's like one prep that your body's just like cruising in, it's chilled, and then after like the next show, their body gets a little bit tired, and it's like we need to up the cardio, we need to reduce the food a little more to get you conditioned because your body's not reacting the same way. Every prep is different, so it's it's very it's it like almost never happens where athletes have the identical preps, even to themselves. It's so
Yeah. No.
You can like I've done this before where it's like I write down athletes like peak week, like what we did in peak week, like with carbs and food and water, this and this, where they look perfect. And it's literally can be completely irrelevant
It's
the
yeah,
next show because their body's different and reacting differently. So it's like literally just garbage information. It means nothing.
yeah.
So it's just what's useful is about you don't really need any of that to remember any of that for past shows, but you need to remember what food the athletes do well with. That's the most important. They digest well with. That's the most important. Besides that, it's like every peak is going to be different. So if you're just going based off what you've done in the past, it's usually pretty useless information unless it's like for you. Like I remember you like don't do well with rice and you look better on fats. And last time you did a show was like what 2 years
And
ago.
we realized too by my first pro show that I was like chicken of all things was not.
Yeah,
Once you remember, I stopped eating chicken. I was like, I
yeah.
wonder if this is what it is because like I always look bloated. I stopped eating chicken and only did seafood,
The
and
rice would
all of a
destroy you
sudden my
too.
waist is like this.
Yeah. So it's like those things you got to remember. So it's like
Yeah,
if we know that, and then I'm feeding you rice, and you get super bloated on rice, and it's like okay, well, let's use rice next show. It doesn't really make any sense,
yeah.
but the quantities don't matter really because it's going to change from show to show. But
No,
every peak is going to be different. So and sometimes the harder peaks. So let's say like a girl coming to the show and I need to feed her a lot of food, and she looks perfect. And the next show, her metabolism kind of slowed down a little bit, and I'm feeding her less food, and she's kind of struggling, doing more cardio. Her body can still look perfect and exactly the same on stage with a
yeah,
totally different approach. It's just how you deal with everything that's coming at you as a coach in regard to like the athlete's body and how it's responding to what you're doing. So you got to be adjusting. People ask me like, how do you make it so many pros and how are you so consistent? Like, there's a lot of consistency with our coaching. It's because you're able to maneuver and adjust based on what the athlete needs, coach from show to show. A lot of if you have cookie cutter plans, and you're just like every athlete does this before show, and you're gonna have no consistency because every athlete is different and then every prep is different for every athlete. So it's
yeah,
like you need to be able to maneuver and switch on a dime if you have to for every single athlete and every single prep. And if you just have like, if you have a consistent plan for every single person, you're not going to have consistent results. It's not
yeah,
going to work. So that's why we make athletes like, if I just had like a set plan and just sent to everyone and just, yeah, this is what you're doing for the rest of the week, this is what you're eating for the rest of the week. It's like, we wouldn't make athletes check in every single day as of like a week out. And, we have to adjust things sometimes daily depending on the athlete. So it's what we do for every prep for every athlete. um, let's see. Someone asked, a judge's feedback for me was I was in the middle of bikini or wellness. I want to do bikini. What do you think I should do? You should not compete in a category that you don't like the look for.
yeah,
That's the first thing. So it's like, let's say like you really don't want big legs and big glutes and your structure is more like a wellness look. I would not put my body and make myself do wellness if I really don't like the look of the stage. Because in the offseason, you're going to be huge too. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, the most important thing is real life. Same thing with breast implants. So,
I was just about to say that.
there's some athletes that have a big rib cage that you talk to and you're like, listen, I all the time, I'm like, listen, do you ever plan to get breast implants? Some are like, no, some are like, maybe, some are like, yes, I don't know. I said, listen, in my opinion, which is the correct opinion, your physique in the front pose will look 100 times better with breast implants. Okay, not all athletes, but
Yeah,
some specific athletes with specific structures will look much better with breast implants. I said, so if you're considering doing it, you can do it. We can plan it out. But I said, do not do it if you do not want it for real life. I said, never. I don't
yeah.
care what level
Do
athlete
it
they
for
are.
any reason is
Yes, to competing. Yes, that doesn't make any sense. So I tell them, listen, this is my opinion. They will help you along stage, but only do it if you really want to have them in real life as well. Like, don't just do it for competition. It's not worth it. So yeah, some athletes like, yeah, I want it for real life too, and they'll get both. So same thing with this. It's like if you're some girls are just they don't have the structure for bikini. They're just too jacked. Like and they have dense bones and big rib cage and very wide hips and just like their structure is very much wellness based, but they don't like the wellness look. It's like listen, competing is very genetic based. And if you don't like the wellness look and you also don't have the structure of a bikini, you're probably not going to do good in competing, which is totally fine.
yeah.
I
I
mean,
think too, even if your structure is built for something like wellness,
yeah.
and like you said, if you're trying to force yourself into a box that you don't want to be in, you're not going to train as hard. You're not going to train as well because you're going to be like, I don't even want to look this way. There's going to be a part of you that I think would influence the way that you train and stuff.
I think you can still train through it, but I just think you're not going to be happy of like the end result or how you look in the off season if
Yeah.
that's not the look you want. So it's tough for some girls because it's like some girls would just be better in wellness, but they want the bikini look, but they just
Hmm.
don't have the structure for bikini. Like it's just so
Yeah.
it's like what do you do? It's like you can be a mediocre bikini athlete and but then you actually like how you look in real life. That's probably the best scenario.
Yeah.
That's probably the best and only thing you could do. I mean, that would make any sense to me. So I got a couple more questions and I will let you go because you have like you have to go like rescue some cats or something. Who's frozen?
Now you're unfrozen. You are. Hi.
Okay. Does momentum really matter as a pro? Um, I would say yes and no. The judges are always going to judge you based on what you look like in front of them. But we already know usually every year who the kind of the top five of the Olympia are going to be almost. Like,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? It's not going to be a totally new five girls. Why? Because we know their names. We know, how they look consistently. It's actually not even necessarily. Sometimes people are off, but the top five is typically like around there. And then you'll have maybe like one girl come in that's kind of new, but there's a lot of like, it is based off like how you looked in the past and people will judge you and like in their predictions, but you're not going to have a totally new top 10 at the Olympia every year. And so
Yeah.
that is based a little bit on consistency and like momentum and how you placed before. But like I feel like like it's not fair and it's a lie to say that a judge is going to look at like let's say like a Laura Lee and like a random European athlete that qualified Olympia once the same way in regards to how they think they're going to place at the Olympia. No. Like if the European athlete looks better on stage than Laura Lee, then yes, they may place higher. But I'm just saying, like, if they see a Laura Lee versus, they're not going to be like, oh yeah, well that athlete just has the same amount of chances to be, it's like probably not, like because just based off like she just won the Olympia, so it's like I'll give you another example for Eevee. The fact that Eevee just beat Maria 2 times at Pittsburgh and New York, I would say that her chances are much higher at placing much higher at the Olympia than it would be if she just jumped into Olympia and she looked the same.
Yeah. Well,
Because it's like,
the judges are only human too.
yeah, if there's 50 girls on stage,
Whether or not they do an absolutely incredible job at being not biased and just looking at what shows up that day. They do an
that's
absolutely,
obviously the goal. Yeah, that's obviously the
yeah,
goal.
that's the goal. But they're still human beings and they think, okay, like I saw this girl last week. I remember, okay, she came in about a bit tighter. That's what I told her she should do. She looks better. You're still mentally kind of doing that. The judge, you can't turn off your human side of your brain. So I
Yeah,
think that to a degree that plays a part in the momentum too, how much and how often the judges
yeah.
are seeing you and being able to compare you to different athletes.
I think it's like this. So let's say like Evie goes into Olympia right now. Like right now, she's like placed like 7 at the Olympia round. She beat Maria twice. If
Hmm.
she goes in there now, the judges are going to have in their mind, okay, well, Evie beat Maria twice. Maria's second. Let's take a look at her and see what she places. Versus, I think it would be a much harder. I feel like they could still get the right placing and put her exactly where she should be based on how she looks at exactly at the Olympia. But I feel like going in, if they have like an idea, like oh, like this is where she's placing right now, like in the whole spectrum of the bikini. Let's see how she looks and see if she still fits right in that spot. And then if she places, then she looks better, then she'll move up. And then if she places worse, then she move down. You know what I'm saying? I think that's kind of like, which makes sense, So,
Yeah.
but yeah, you're not, if it was just based off of like, where you placed before, there'd be no point of competing. So it's obviously just the judges are doing their best
Yeah.
to place you based on how you look. And that's why, sometimes shows with the same judges can, um they can alternate placings between two athletes based off of I'll give you an example. So it was men's physique. The guy who came third and the guy who came fourth switched positions from Pittsburgh to New York, and Tyler was judging both. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same athletes, 1 week apart, same judge. So he's obviously judging based off what he sees in front of them. The fourth place looked better than the third place this time, so he switched them. And now,
Yeah.
the athlete was higher. So I think there's a bit of both. I think there's no disadvantage to placing really high in shows in front of like the top Olympia judges. Obviously, I think that'll help you a little bit. And plus, what's good is you're gonna get feedback from them too directly. So like Tyler's the best for feedback of any judge. He gives the most accurate feedback and the most like precise feedback. And when you're talking to him and he sees you on stage and he's actually able to tell you what he thinks, that's going to be a big advantage to you too as an athlete, as a coach, because you know exactly what to do. So it's rare that he gives you the wrong feedback. I agree with him 99% of the time, and the same eye for bikini. So
Yeah.
a couple more questions. When was the first time you went to Olympia? 2014, actually. It's going to be I think it's 12th year now or 11th year now at the Olympia. It's going to be my 12th year at the Olympia now. Because like 14, 15, yeah. So it's like 12 years at Olympia. I'm going to be in a row. It's crazy, eh? Yeah. I was a little baby back then. I went alone, actually. I went alone. I didn't have any, yeah, I went alone. I just went to go watch. I was a fan of the sport before I became a coach. Yeah. Yeah, it was a great fucking time. I actually had a girlfriend. I bought her fucking tickets and we were going to go to Vegas together and we broke up a week before. It's fucking, then I went alone. Rude. Your first Olympian athlete. Jen Dory was the first Olympia athlete in 2018. We did 3 Olympias together. I started coaching her in, I think, July of 2018, and then we came second at Tampa. We did another show as well, and she came third or fourth, and then we qualified on points, and then she came 10th at our first Olympia together, and then we came fifth and then second. In how many athletes qualified to Olympia? I think like 35 or 36 Olympic qualifications now. Like I don't, not the Masters Olympia, like the Open Olympia. And one last question someone asked: sponsorship and athletes, can they live off sponsorships? What would you say?
If you're a very high level athlete, I would say, yeah, probably.
I think,
If there's people like Jen Dory and stuff, you know what I mean? Like those the top Olympians, I think it's probably doable, especially if you already are very, very good with social media. If
yeah,
you are
that's the most
just
important
like
thing.
a brand newbie and you just happen to be like placing high recently at pro shows, but you have like no social media following and you're not good at that, then probably not.
Yeah, you're probably not going to live a great life living on sponsorships. Like, you're not going to
Yeah,
be
no.
rich. It's not happening. But I know, like, some athletes are not even high level pros that are making like 10K a month, whatever, USD off sponsorships. But they have great social media, the big followings. The social media part is the number one aspect. More
That's the
important,
biggest, yeah.
more if you're stuck in social media and you expect to get any money from scholarships, you're never going to make any money. So that is much more important than even being Miss Bikini Olympia, is being better at social media. You'll make more money being like a social media like guru and fucking influencer than you will even winning the Olympia and being shit at social media. So that's the number one important thing. Number two is don't think you're gonna come into this game and start making money off sponsorships and actually make a living from it. Like, you're probably not. You know what I'm saying? So always have a side hustle, and you should be doing something to make money on the side. Like, become a. I know people like shit on these people. Oh, everyone's a coach. Everyone's a posing coach. Who cares? Like, I don't know why people complain about this. Like, oh, this girl did one show, now she's a coach. Like, let them fucking coach. Let them, like, when I started off too, I was a fucking noob. I didn't know what I was doing either. You know what I'm saying? So everyone starts off somewhere. Like, if you want to teach people posing and you think you're good at posing and whatever, then fucking do it. If you want to coach people and start to learn, do it. Like,
If there's
don't let
people
people.
that are going to hire you,
Yes.
why wouldn't
Yeah,
you?
you could suck. I sucked at the start too. Every top coach you knew sucked at the start. So if
Mhm.
people want to shit talk you, and be like, "Oh, you did one show," and I didn't. I never did any fucking show. But I made 109 pros. So what does that mean? So
Yeah.
I don't like people that talk bad about others when they're trying to like make a living or trying to like do something. But just don't be one of those. There's a caveat to this. Don't be one of those where you think you know everything and you're putting others down too. So like, I'll give you an example. Like, let's say you're like a newbie posing instructor, like a newbie coach, right? That's perfectly fine. You're learning, but don't go into the marketing aspect. Don't go into the marketing aspect where your plan to build yourself is to put others down. Where it's like, this, if you're doing this, then you don't know what you're doing. If you're like posing this, you don't know what you're doing. If this coach telling you this and you're a fucking noob yourself, then that's a shitty person. But if you're putting down others, trying to build yourself up,
Right.
sorry.
Yeah. I said eventually you're gonna end up being called out and dragged for that, and then all that
Yeah,
you did
we've
is
seen that.
yeah.
Don't be one of those thinking you know everything and then putting others down to try to build your business. That's just shit. But just if you want to start off and start making money and pose and you want to teach athletes how to, you got to learn. You got to go through the process. And I don't care if you've done one show, 20 shows. Like, I never competed before, but I'm much better than any other Olympian coach that coaches bikini athletes. So what is what is that? So um, yeah. So work on, like, if you want to build a business inside bodybuilding, not everyone wants to do that. People have like obviously jobs inside of bodybuilding, but don't go into the sport with the mindset of I'm gonna live off sponsorship money, because that's something a lot of the guys do. And a lot of them, like the guys that are dying at 40 years old, it's because they have nothing else besides bodybuilding, and they've been bodybuilding for 25 years. They live off sponsorship money. They live like mediocre lives, and then their placings start going down and their sponsorships start dwindling because they're not getting enough, people buying the products that they're advertising and stuff too. And then they're like, "Fuck, well, what do I do?" So they push the drugs, they push the, diuretics, they push their body past where they should have retired 3, 4, 5 years ago, and then they kill themselves because it's like they're chasing something. They want to get back to their high of where their sponsorship money is the best and their physique is the best, but they're getting older. Like, your body's not going to hold up the same at 48 years old as it was at 35 years old. So they had nothing to fall back on. I think that's the biggest mistake that I specifically see in open bodybuilders, less in women. It's more open bodybuilders where they're like, they live off, sponsorship money, and then their fucking physique starts going downhill, and then their sponsorship money goes away, and they think it's gonna last forever, and it's not, because sponsorships don't give that much fucks about you. Honestly, they care about if you're bringing them dollars at the end of the day. They're not
Yeah.
donating you money. So if you're bringing them less money because your physique is going downhill and so is your placing, then they're going to reduce your sponsorship money. They're going to, next time they want to renew, like, hey, I think we're going to give you a 20% decrease, and it's just it's a numbers game at the end of the day. So build a brand, build a business outside of sponsorship money, and don't rely on anyone to be paying you based on you selling products as a bodybuilder or a bikini athlete, whatever, because that's gonna go away one day or another. You're not gonna be doing this till 80 years old.
Day job. And if you,
And if you, yeah, unless you're making a lot of money
yeah,
doing the coaching and you built a business and you're good at it. So
yeah.
I've seen some coaches too. They've been coaching for 5, 6 years and they have like 2, 3 clients, but it's because their marketing sucks and the results suck. So it's like,
Hmm.
if it doesn't mean that you're gonna make money in this industry either. Like you got to be. I always like. I was born an entrepreneur. I feel that way, and some people have it in them. Some people don't. You can still learn a lot of skills and be much better than you are, but some people just have it in them. Some people are just made to work for someone else too. So, and there's no shame in that. That's the majority of people. There's no shame in that at all. So, if you want to become a coach and an opposing athlete, and you're doing it, you're building a business, and your business is growing every year. But if you've been coaching for 5, 6 years and you still have only 1 or 2 athletes, and you haven't really been improving in your marketing or your output of your results, then maybe you should just work for someone else and not maybe look to join like maybe be a coach under a team or just do a job outside of bodybuilding too. Or if you enjoy it, just do it on the side and then make your main job just your what, here's your cat.
Looked at me, she like yelling at me. Why? That's funny.
Anyways, this is actually the end of the podcast and you gotta leave too, right? You gotta pick up your kids.
Yeah, I gotta go. Cats and kids.
You have a lot of things going on you. And you had this like
God.
fake boyfriend now at school or something. What's going on with that?
Is this still going?
Yeah, it's going. Sarah, he doesn't even have Instagram, so who cares? Sabra
I'm gonna get red.
on her close friend. She goes, "Oh my god, we sat next to
Hi,
each other
James.
at school and we kind of touched arms or whatever." And I told her, I was like, "What if he's on his close friend saying there's this fucking weird lady at my school who keeps touching my arm and I don't know what to do."
Did I flip you off on your own podcast?
No, it's rude.
Oh,
All right, well, good luck with that.
thanks. Love you so much.
Well, I'll talk to you soon. I'm excited to see you in Toronto. It'll be fun. We have a
I
huge group there, and
know.
you're gonna come.
Wait.
Victoria's coming too, so
Oh, is she?
yeah,
Woohoo.
we have a little Team Alice party there.
You need Lena to come from
Yeah.
Spain.
Yeah, Claire. I don't think Claire will come. She has a baby. Rude.
Bring the baby. Put it in Team Atlas gear.
Yeah, I'm almost done with all these damn clothes. It took me over a year to do this, but it's gonna be nice in the end. I'm like a perfectionist. I don't want to just put shit out and it be garbage. I want it to be perfect. So coming along. Yeah. All right, Sabra, whatever the fuck. Talk to you soon. Be good.
Okay.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.